Hi, this is Brendan with BP Kitchen Equipment, and we have here a 2019 Bizerba GSP HD. This slicer is overall in pretty good condition. It doesn't have any real scuffs on the side. The corners are actually holding up pretty well. No problems with the plastic either, which is pretty rare in these slicers. It's also pretty important considering one little crack, like there's a little hairline crack, but one little chip gets knocked out, especially towards the front over here, then the entire slicer is kind of compromised considering water can get underneath, right underneath there. But anyways, it's in overall in pretty good condition. This slicer has, let's see, the functionality of an automatic. So let's see if we can, yeah. So the fast stroke kind of does the doozy on this Lazy Susan, so I'll just show you the slow stroke for now. As this automatic slicer works, you can actually have 9 different settings. So this is the slow speed, as you saw earlier. This is the fast speed. And then there also has the additional function of stroke size. So I'll just go all the way down to slow. There we go. This is slow for the smallest stroke possible. We'll skip past medium, go right past long. Additionally, something that's pretty cool about these automatics is they actually technically have an assisted function whenever you're running in manual mode. So on the 2023s and the 2022s, I believe, you can actually just kind of push this forward and it'll return back to you. But what this does is it just allows it to make it a little bit easier on your shoulders whenever you're working on it. However, if you're watching this video, you probably already know how a Bizerba slicer works. So the question is, why buy from BP Kitchen Equipment? What we do is we service all of our equipment before we sell it to you. So you're not going to get a slicer that has any quirks, any problems. There isn't going to be any fine print. This is guaranteed to work for you and will be backed by a 120-day warranty. Differently than eBay standards of 30 days, we make sure that this will work for you for 4 months. Even if it doesn't after that, just give us a call. We're always working with our customers. Ultimately, we want to have a high quality service for you guys, and we want to be able to help you as much as possible. So what do we do in our service work? We make sure that all of the mechanical, electrical, and we make sure that all the mechanical and electrical work, we make sure that everything is properly lubricated. On these automatics, the fact that this spins is quite unusual. Normally on all of the Bizerba slicers past 2 years old, this will get locked up, which makes it kind of a problem. But yeah, we make sure that everything's lubricated. Everything is lubricated with either H1 oil or H1 grease. The oil is actually Bizerba oil. We put the oil right along here, and then right along the main shaft that the carriage actually slides back and forth on. Everything else is greased with H1 grease. It's food safe, and we make sure that they work as they did from the factory, even though this is about 4 years old. Something else we do is we make sure that all of our slicers are super sharp when we get them to you. So let's grab this. All of our slicers are sharp enough to cut a sheet of paper easily. No problems, no questions asked. As long as you do a good job of upkeep, it will continue to be a long-lasting solution for you and your business. All of the slicers take about 3 to 7 hours, just for reference of the work that we do, really. There's quite a bit of eBay sellers that just kind of test and wipe down equipment. Here at BP, we don't do that. We chose not to. Lessons are $1 per hour, but we want to give you a high quality product in exchange for payment. We want to give you something that will actually be guaranteed to work and not go out in a couple months. Something that I'll do real quick is I'll just show you what we do on our end for safety calibration. So I mentioned that we work 3 to 7 hours in these machines. A fair amount of it is the safety calibration. A lot of that has to do with this gauge plate. We make sure that this gauge plate is aligned on all axes. Without getting too much into the details, this is what it means for you. Whenever this carriage is open, This blade is running. This is typically how it'd be open whenever you're cleaning. You cannot get cut on this. Whenever it is recessed at 0, the blade sits 1.5 millimeters below the gauge plate. And that just means that it's extremely safe. Your employees can, take this blade cover off, wipe it down, and you're not going to get cut, or at least you'd really have to try in order to get cut. Something else we do, speaking of the blade, so we actually make sure that this blade has at least 66% of its lifespan left. What that means is that this gap is going to be 1 millimeter from the factory, and Bizerba recommends that you replace these at 6. We make sure that of that remaining 5 millimeters, 66% of it is still there. You won't buy a slicer from us and have to replace a blade in a month or two. But instead, you're going to get a blade that is still has quite a bit of life left on it. Something else we do, show you here. So this blade is currently exposed, right? You can currently actually cut items. We make sure that this carriage will not be able to tilt back. That's just a safety mechanism that comes from Bizerba that we uphold in our slicers, just to make sure that if any employee or anything tries to fit their fingers in there when this thing is running, it's gonna be a little bit harder to do so. Speaking of this knob, so these actually correspond to millimeters. So right now we're looking at 5 millimeters in this knob. This blade will actually cut at 5 millimeters. When we get them, they're normally off by like at least 2. But we make sure that everything works as it would from the factory. Something else, we make sure that the off switch will work. So right now the blade is running, right? As soon as it hits 0, it'll turn off. That way when you open this slicer won't be able to cut you. It's gonna be safe for you or your employees. There's more that I could talk about, but it looks like we're coming up on 7 minutes. If you have any questions, please just feel free to reach out to me. My name is Bren Marvick and I work for BP Equipment. My number's on our website. Let me know if you have any questions and I'd love to answer them. I hope you have a good day.